Peace, what's happening, good people? Let's get fed for Pay Us No Mind. And today we're reviewing the digital distributor Amuse. Now, Amuse has two different options. They have Amuse, like regular old Amuse, and then they have Amuse Pro, which is like a premium tier. So we're gonna go through the full scope of Amuse. You guys have seen me do an overview of Amuse Pro. You've seen me review Amuse years ago before they made a whole bunch of changes to their platform and their payment structure and everything like that. So we're, going through them again. So we're gonna take a look at it. We're going to check out the offer, and see if it's worth it, man. Now looking at the homepage, we see right now, limited offer, get Amuse Pro for $20 a year. You see, they were charging $59.99, but now it's 29. I mean, now it's effectively $20 a year, right? So let's take a look at the offer before we get to the pricing. They say your music everywhere. Now, the pro tier, these are extra stores that they get you into on the pro tier where they got the icon there. So you see on a free tier, you get your music into the usual suspects, Spotify, Apple Music, YouTube Music, Amazon Music, Tidal, Deezer, Napster, Claro Musica, Shazam. But then on the pro tier, they got a platform called New Day, which seems like more like a content aggregator or something. Like I think they got some partnerships with TV and stuff like that. TikTok monetization, Instagram monetization, Facebook monetization, SoundCloud Go they distribute to, and Angami they distribute to. So SoundCloud Go you want Facebook, you want Insta, all of these you want. So ideally you would go with the pro tier, but what they're giving you on the free tier ain't bad. Right? Now they say splits, royalty splits. So let's take a look at what they got, man. Let's look at it. So Amuse on the free tier, you keep 100% of your royalties. Royalty splits, you can split revenue with your collaborators and things of that nature. You get to put your release out in 4 weeks, so they don't offer no kind of expediting of your release on a free tier. So you effectively have to wait a month to get your release out, which isn't bad. People recommend that you wait at least 2 weeks to 3 weeks before you drop a release to give yourself time to apply for featured placements on playlists and stuff like that. So, this 4 week period is like effectively a recommended amount of time that you would take between, getting a release out there and promotion and all of that other stuff and requesting blog coverage and things of that nature. So this is not even like a drawback, really. Customer support and one artist profile. Now with Amuse Pro, you get 100% royalties, no fee royalty splits, and we can look and see what they mean by no fee royalty splits. Fast lane release, so they allow you to get your release in stores within 14 days on the fast lane with Amuse Pro. Music on Instagram, TikTok, team members, and we'll find out what that means as well. Multiple artist profiles, YouTube content ID, fast lane support. Now, I used them, like I said, in the Amuse Pro video, and if you haven't watched that video, you can check that out, that I was going to test them out and see what's up with them. And I put out a release called No Born ID with them, and it was good. It was in the stores when they said it was going to be in stores. They have a feature, and again, if you watch the video that I did as a walkthrough through the upload process, they have a feature that allows you to basically designate the artist, the Spotify profile that the song is supposed to be posted on during the upload process to make sure that your song goes to the right profile when it's released, rather than having to play catch up where you release it, then find out that it's on the wrong profile, then got to go and communicate to your distributor and have them remove it and put it on the right profile, which by that point the damage is done because the release thing came out and people came to your profile looking for it and it wasn't there and it didn't get added to people's Discover Weeklies and Release Radar because it was in the wrong place, right? So you don't want that to happen first and then have to fix it. You want it to be sorted out before the release comes out. And they allow you to do that, and they did it for me, and it worked out great. And also, when it came to the stats, the day after I got streams on a song, and their stats, they had the streams there. Now I don't need it because I could check Spotify for artists and get the stats, but the fact that they're collecting them too is just the added benefit. Now they got split it up and they say royalty splits is the easiest way for you to share earnings from your music with anyone. This feature is free for pro users, but also available for other users against a 15% fee of their split. Okay, so if you're on a free tier and you're splitting revenue, then they're taking 15% of your share, I believe. 15% of what you get from the split. I'm not sure if they're charging anybody else that gets paid, but that's the way that I believe it works out. Now, the team members thing is also a benefit as well when you're working with multiple people, like a producer, or if you're a label and you have other artists and you don't want them harassing you about how much they made and how many streams they got and all of this type of stuff, because this is a funny game where people get suspicious and think that they're being robbed. So for transparency's sake, if you could invite everybody that you're working with and they could all see their performance and how many streams they got and how many sales they got and how much money they owed and when they get paid that money and stuff like that, then it can just alleviate a lot of headaches and potential hurdles down the line. So the team members thing is big with a lot of other distributors. Right now, they don't have that feature, and in order for people to be able to access that kind of information, you would have to give them your username and your password, which basically means they have as much power over the account as you do. So they could come in there and change the password, right? And then you don't have access to your own account. So being able to invite team members allows you to kind of like section everybody out where they effectively have child accounts to your parent account, where they can gain access to be able to see what's going on, but they couldn't like change the password and lock you out of the account. The stores we went through, they said skip the line, fast lane release. This is the ability to get your release in stores in 14 days rather than a month. And they also say guarantee support responses within 24 hours. So if you have pro and you have an issue, they'll respond to you within 24 hours of you sending them a message. And that's not to say that they're not going to respond to you if you are on a free tier and you send them a message. They're probably going to get back to you either way. It's just saying that, they're prioritizing people who are on the pro tier. Multiple artist profiles. Now, this is another thing that I feel like is a benefit too, and it makes sense with the team member thing combined, right? Where if you're distributing music for multiple artists, like you're a label, you're distributing music for multiple artists, each artist has their own profile where everything is merged together, where you got to try to sort it out and see, oh, this is so, because it's good to be able to section it out where you can kind of like just pick one specific artist and get all of their stats and their sales performance and everything like that, as opposed to just having like everybody's album all blended together and all of the stats for all of the albums for all of the artists that you've released all blended together. So something like that is beneficial in that capacity, man. And YouTube Content ID revenue is another benefit. And you guys have heard me say this before about how a lot of distributors take a percentage of your YouTube Content ID revenue, from about 20% to 30% of that revenue. Some even charge you an upfront fee in addition to the percentage that they take. And Amuse doesn't take anything. They allow you to keep 100% of what you make from YouTube Content ID, and that's a benefit to them as well. So you got those features, and then you have this fast forward feature where they allow you to get an advance on your royalties. So if you make some money from your music consistently and there's consistent data coming in, then you can get an advance on your royalties. And they say it's between what they offer, they say 50 to 300,000 they'll offer you, depending on the data they got coming in, and you're paying them back in the form of your sales. So it's not coming out of your bank account and it's not impacting your credit. You're paying them back in sales. And I'm a fan of advances, because that money comes in handy in a crisis. And it also allows you to do things like tour or put a music video together. And they highlight that here where they talk about this group who got invited to do a performance, somewhere far from where they were, right? And they needed transportation, and they were able to utilize uh, the advance to make it possible to be able to get out there and perform. So, yeah, a lot of what Amuse has going on is really good. Now, when you look at them and you compare them to what's out there, you know, $20 a year for what they're offering is great. And the only drawback really that I would say with Amuse is the stores, where you would ideally want to get your music into more stores than what they offer, but that's not the end of the world, especially depending on how you move in, because those other stores and the impact of those other stores, you got to factor in things like, how are you promoting your music? If all you're doing is pushing your music in the United States, then having your music in all of these stores in these other countries might not be that important to you. Now there's always the possibility that somebody who lives in America has friends in Puerto Rico, has friends in Germany and stuff like that, and they share it and you gain traction out there. But, that's not the most likely thing to happen, if you are not actively pushing your music in those areas. So if you're focused on the US, then, those other stores might not matter that much, and even if you got some activity there, it might not be, enough money for you to be like, oh, okay, well, maybe use a worse service that gets you into more stores. It might not make the most sense for you to do that. And also, you got to factor in things like whether you have radio edits of your release, whether you're putting out clean music, because some of these other stores that people get you into aren't effectively stores. They're more so like opportunities. Like they get your music into jukeboxes and restaurants and department stores. And if you got the dirty version or explicit version, rather, or your music is sexually provocative, your music is sexually explicit, or it's talking about, guns, drugs, murder, whatever, even political music, a lot of those outlets will steer clear of. So depending on the style of music, those things might not be things that mean the world to you either. So depending on what you got going on, the additional stores might not be the end of the world. They get you into the stores that you would need to get into, that pretty much everybody uses to stream music. So you might be okay with that. And for the price, is great. And I would say it might be the top digital distributor at this price point for this offer, like in the wheelhouse of unlimited digital distribution. They could arguably be the best for the service that they provide. Yeah, man. So if you've used the Muse and you got a story to tell, definitely comment. If you've never used them and you got questions about them, comment, and everybody can kind of chime in, and I'll, fill in the blanks where I can. If you guys want to know more about the Muse, you can find out about them in the Guide to Digital Distribution ebook I have. As always, y'all can hit me up at Payusnomind on Instagram, at Payusnomind on Twitter. payusnomind@gmail.com. Subscribe to the channel if you haven't done that. This is Gift signing off. Pay Us No Mind. Peace, good people. One.